estate is dirty. It's dirty. It's full of. There are many people in real estate who don't share the ethical values that some of us would hold others to. There's a saying sometimes in real estate, sellers are liars and buyers are thieves. But there's a lot of information being withheld, and there's such a focus on profit motive that people will do what they have to do to save money. Everything's an ROI calculation. Even a lawsuit becomes an ROI calculation for certain companies. If you look at large public companies, lawsuits are just a cost of doing business. You violate this law, you'll be slapped on the wrist with a penalty. And companies are okay skirting the law, breaking rules, because the reward is so high and the punishment is a joke. So what's stopping you from doing it? It's the same in real estate too. I think there are very few people who are going to incur a loss in order to provide a safe environment. If they can charge the tenant for it, or if they can make it a differentiation, they will do so. But if they have to suffer a loss, I don't see that happening. The profit motive is very big, and their livelihoods depend on their ability to generate profit, to generate higher net operating income. We need regulation. We can't rely on the goodness of people, because for anyone in real estate, everyone knows and has experienced dishonesty. It happens all around in real estate every day. Information is withheld, and that itself is dishonesty. It's not lying, it's not telling someone something. That's why there's so much due diligence required. There's such a big industry for legal in real estate, because there is just an inherent expectation. I've bought real estate throughout many areas, both large, both small types of real estate, and I've encountered situations where you've got fraud going on, you've got fake rent rolls, you've got people who will be dishonest and will try to cheat you. So many stories of builders stealing money and embezzling funds. I mean, real estate is one area where there's serious litigation, and this is unfortunately a problem that's systemic within our industry. The real estate industry, I'll go on record and say, is an industry that thrives on information asymmetry, where there's a lot of dishonesty and the ethical values are not prioritized above the profit motive. And that's why PropTech startups have a massive opportunity. Anything that levels the playing field, anything that makes data transparent, anything that helps regulators hold companies accountable as a result of accessing data, such as what Clairify does, even as an example here, right, is needed. And for me, that's a big investment thesis, to back that. That's why PropTech is exciting, because it's so broken, because there's so many middlemen taking a cut everywhere. This is what makes PropTech exciting. It's not like health tech. Health tech is like wonderful, and you're on the border of health tech actually with PropTech. Health tech, you're making a difference in someone's life, and you're trying to change it. And everyone in health tech generally is, focused on the common good. You're not in real estate because you want to make the world a better place. Let's be frank. That's not the general motive, There's a very few people who are here because they want to make affordable housing something for everyone to do. There's people in real estate want to make money, period, right? And regulation is needed. I hate to say that, but this is an area where government intervention is critical, especially globally, and consistent enforcement of law throughout countries. EU does a good job with this because it's one sort of a nation state type of approach with EU, but then you've got the UK that's broken off with Brexit, and then you've got the US, and the US has these states, and each state has different laws, and you've got the federal laws on top. But this is needed.
Yeah, it sounds not utterly surprising the way that you're describing it right now. If there's,
tell me something as well. Why are your customers, or why are potential customers buying this? you asked me the question, what do I think is going on? But what do you see that's going on? Is it the profit motive? Is it the ethics? And I don't mean to say your customers, because then I'm putting you on the spot there, but what's going to what's needed here? Can we rely on ethics alone, or do you think we need government intervention?
Well, it comes, I think, from different angles. Some of the companies that we are working with, or that we are in negotiations right now, they're looking at it like, how is this going to affect the health of my people, and how is that going to result, for example, in lower healthcare costs? And can we quantify that maybe with a proof of concept pilot that we can do together? Like that's a scenario that we're looking at. So then you're talking again about the ROI that you're referring to, right? Others are thinking like, okay, how can I keep my building operational, and how can I provide better policies based on the current situation through data? And how can we make sure that the spaces that people work in or go back to are healthier and are safe? But this is one of the clients that we work with who have like very valuable employees, so to say. So there are different motives right there. And the last one, which is very interesting, is probably most present from a real estate perspective, because the previous two are more from like company tenant-wise perspective. But from a real estate perspective is, how can I make sure that my space is going to be attractive and people want to rent it? And that's by making sure that it is safe and that it is compliant with all the regulations and the policies that are now being shaped or already are active. So I think those are the big three components that we look at of why we currently see that air quality is so important. And then the fourth one is the one that you're going in right now, and that's about the legislation and being compliant. Because we're also talking with a couple of companies right now, especially from the UK, and that market is more advanced. And maybe it's also a cultural thing, because what you were describing about the whole suing, I think it's happening a bit differently here in Europe than it is in the UK or in the US in general. So maybe that's why that market is prioritizing data-driven insights to their current situation, so they can cover themselves also in. It sounds very negative the way I'm describing it, because we are here because we want to make sure that people feel better in their environment, because building managers can make sure that the building is of a higher environmental quality. I mean, that's how we started off in university, because people were falling asleep like in the lectures, and we were just wondering like, how is this happening? And 1 year later, they installed the ventilation system, and the change was quite present. People were paying more attention. The amount of people that showed up to the lectures, and it was like in exactly the same hall, was it was more. And the ultimate KPI that you can say is there were less resits and a higher average grade point. So those are stuff that you can quantify to the office space as well. So that's what got us started. But right now we do see that regulation, insights in how you can shape your policies, and making sure that you can demonstrate that your space is safe as possible and as compliant as possible, are the driving factors to my experience and belief.
One thing I'm seeing, because I buy a lot of real estate, I'm a partner at Bluefield Capital, which is a private equity real estate fund. We have a lot of multifamily, we have a lot of hotels, industrial warehouses, senior care homes. We are seeing, and we are also asking for, environmental site assessments and reports when we buy a property. And if we're selling a property too, more and more I'm seeing it's something that the buyer will ask the seller to pay for. And that's unusual, because in the past, the view was, well, if the buyer's asking for that, the buyer should pay for it. Why would I need an environmental site assessment report? Why? Now it's just becoming like part of the standard due diligence checklist. And when I talked about the real estate industry, we have to draw a definition. When you look at the office industry, you've got the occupiers, and then you've got the very landlords themselves. I'm in no way saying it's the occupiers that have the profit motive. The occupiers and the facility managers, and I'm sure those are your clients. Those are the ones who have a duty, and their entire purpose is to create a safe working place. They're the tenants, aren't they? Right? They're the ones who want to be in a safe space. They're the ones who will do everything, and who will negotiate and put profit as an alternative to not put profit as an alternative to, but they will weigh up and do an assessment between profit and employee wellness, and employee wellness tends to trump that. It's the landlords. I'm saying it's the landlords, the investors, the people that operate the building, or not even operate, the people that own the buildings. You've got the building owners, and you've got the operators, and then you've got the occupiers, and then you've got the tenants. The tenants work at the occupier. The occupier is a company. It could be Coca-Cola, it could be Toyota, it could be Twitter, right? And then you've got the operator, and the operator might just be a management company that's there to do facilities management worldwide, or it's something that, maybe the Twitter team or the Coca-Cola team does. Then the people that you're paying the rent to, they are the investors. And I think that's where the issue is. And I'm an investor myself, right? So I see this day in, day out. And that's where the crux of the problem is. You've got to attack that. And you only attack that through the legislature. That's why I think you said, in that case in London where a judge ruled the cause of death being bad air quality indoors, well, ultimately, whose responsibility is that along the chain? And I think as investors start to share responsibility in that liability, they have the ability to invest in capex inside of a building. And as they invest in capex, capital expenditures, and they start to improve the infrastructure in the building, and they clean the building of toxic materials, right? That's when it trickles down. And as it trickles down, then you've also got occupiers and operators buying products like Clairify and other types of hardware and sensors. Do you agree with the way I've sort of broken down the industry there, or do you have a different perspective?
I think the biggest impact is from a real estate owner's point of view, on the largest scale. And it's the fastest implementation as soon as the light bulb goes on.
Isn't that funny? You could petition your landlord for changes, it'll fall on deaf ears and it will go nowhere. The moment things change, it's as quick as a light bulb being turned on. Instant sweeping changes. And what COVID's created actually, and this is a great thing for PropTech startups, is there is pressure for the real estate industry to show they're making changes. One change is to implement something visible that you can point to. And so it's easy to point to a hardware that you're installing in your site to say, hey, we implemented this hardware. It's a commitment, right? It's a commitment too. Actually, you're right. It's not just ticking a box. You're signing up and you're putting your money where your mouth is, and now people are going to judge you because you're making data transparently available.